I'm a soldier. I was sent to war. I came home with horrible PTSD. For the last 2 weeks, I've had my gun in my mouth wanting to pull the trigger. Someone gave me a copy of your book and I read it, and I just wanted to say thank you because it reminded me of my reason why I want to keep living.
I have a goosebump on that. That's deep. That's deep.
And I was like, that was success. If that's all we did was get to that one person on that day, and that's all the book ever did, if that's all it did, it's exactly what it needed to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jairek Robbins.
Hey.
A guy who's helping other people get more from life and the business, right? Correct?
Yeah, helping them be happy, healthy, strong, and fulfilled.
How you do it?
Depends on the person.
Let's say you're an entrepreneur who has a company, but his private life is like shit, right?
Sure. Well,
so how to find the balance?
There's usually 3 things in the people we work with. If you think about it, there's 3 things that could kill them. Heart attack, meaning they work.
Bam,
they have a beautiful relationship, they don't take care of their health, they're dead. Or they take care of their health, which is really good, they're super healthy, and they work, but they never talk to their husband or wife. They come home,
there's
divorce.
no wife.
There's no wife. Or they have an amazing relationship, that's amazing, they're super healthy, they don't work as much because they spend more time
on the gym.
Yeah. Bankruptcy. No money. And so those 3 things we have to look at and figure out, how do we do the right things with the least amount of time that get the most amount of return to keep people happy, healthy, strong, fulfilled with a flourishing family and relationship.
So for example, I can see many entrepreneurs who are super rich, successful, but they're super unhealthy and fat.
Yeah.
At the same time, I can see like a fitness girl and a man, super fit, ripped, but they poor.
Yeah.
So how is it possible that one person can work on the gym like all day, be so fit and slim, but at the same time they cannot work on their business the same amount of time as on their body?
So the ratio is the minimum time invested for the maximum return to maintain progress.
Yeah.
So you can't do everything all the time, all at once. Impossible. We don't have enough time. But if you look at the science and the research and say, what things have to happen for your relationship to continue being better? Better than yesterday, better than last week, better than last month. There's a group called Gottman. They did 30 years of research on 3,000 couples, and they found 7 things that when you do them every day, your relationship gets better over time. If you mess any of the 7 up, your relationship literally dies, period. Just a matter of time. And so these 7 things, one of them is simple as when your partner makes a bid for your attention, like, hey, check this out.
No, I'm busy. You're done. You're done.
That's turning away. So turning away is no, not right now. Or you don't even respond. They go, hey, check this out. And you go, you don't even say anything. If you do that too much, you're dead. And so instead they found that the masters of relationships, the ones who had the most amazing, loving, long-term relationship, when their partner would go, hey, look at this, they would stop what
everything
they're doing,
and focus on the person.
and they would go, that's neat.
It's like microseconds of attention gives you the...
That's it,
Awesome.
that little tiny habit. So that's one habit. Second habit, and this works in business. If you think of business as a relationship, the people you're getting to know, how well do you understand their hopes, needs, wants, dreams, and desires? How well do you know what they want to do 10 years from now? I ask entrepreneurs who own businesses, if you go to 50 employees you have, and you go to employee number 47, do you know what they want to do in 20 years from now? Because you have a relationship with them.
And
most entrepreneurs have a pretty bad relationship with a lot of their team because they don't know what they want. And then you say, well, what about your wife or husband? Do you know what they want in 20 years? And you go, well, yeah. I mean, isn't that what everybody wants? Like to be happy, to be healthy? Like, no. Like, what are their specific dreams? People go, I don't know.
So it's all about like empathy, communication, asking questions instead of talking all the time.
Yep. So knowing their life map, knowing their love map, what they want short-term and long-term, turning towards. Another one is the ability to work through conflict. This is one of the biggest make or break.
You can build or you can destroy everything when there's a hard time coming.
Yeah, and this is the one thing I tell people, one of the things, there's 10 things I tell people look for when you're looking for a life partner. Find someone you love to go through really horrible times with.
Yeah.
Because if you love going through bad times with a person, the good times will be amazing. But I've met people all the time where life is really good and they can't even get through the good times. I'm like, oh, when shit gets bad, that's going to be really bad for them because they can't even make it through good times in life.
Like 10 years ago, I lost my company. At the time, I was with the girl, and now this girl is my wife. And we had like a baby girl.
Yeah.
That's awesome because this hard time, this deep shit,
Yeah.
help us understand that, okay, we want to be together because we went through such a shit.
That's right.
So when the, everything is pink, yellow, and colorful, we'll be much more happier because we went to the shitstorm.
That's right.
So, it's obvious, like, simple rules, simple habits.
That's
so
right.
why people are avoiding such a things?
They're not avoiding it. Most people are unaware of them.
Okay.
So they just don't know. They don't know you're supposed to.
Unconscious, unknown, right?
Well, yeah, unconscious, unknown, but also what they grew up with, no one taught them that. So they grew up and they watched their dad and that mom go, hey, honey, look. And dad go, just a minute. And they go, oh, that's how you're supposed to do it. But they didn't realize that's one of the 7 mistakes that end relationships. I was like, oh, that's not a good idea. And then they grew up and, mom went out or dad went out and bought mom a pair of earrings for their 35th wedding anniversary. And mom cried because she doesn't have her ears pierced.
Good one. That's good.
And you're like, wow, that was a nice gesture, but you didn't know her. You didn't understand the fact that she's deathly afraid of needles and will never pierce her ears, but you got her earrings. You're like, oh, after 35 years? Oops. You watch these things happen, and then we grow up as kids watching and go, oh, that's normal. And so we replicate and repeat stuff, not realizing that's what caused it to have such problems. And so what happens is we do that, and then we do that in business too. There's certain things you do in business, you tend to grow. Number one, people talk about, bigger marketing and more advertising budgets and how do we reach more people, which sounds good, scaling, growing. But what's your internal marketing plan to take care of your own staff?
Correct.
Because if you're not taking care of your staff, they're just going to keep quitting and you're going to have new people, and that costs a ton of money. They won't take care of the people. And what's your marketing plan to take care of the customers you have? Because if every time you put one in, one leaves,
there's no sense of doing business.
You're not doing business at all. You're just funneling people through. And so if you can take care of the ones you have, one of my favorite questions is, if every client who ever tried you in business, ever tried it, small product, big product, free product, paid product, doesn't matter, if they tried you, if they were still a paying customer, how big would your business be? For most of us, our business would be massive. It's like, oh. So the number one thing if you want to grow your business is, how do we keep the customers we have, and how do we keep them thrilled and happy and continually buying more with us and staying with us because they would never go anywhere else? One of my favorite interview questions with a customer is, why did you choose us?
Yeah, correct.
Why do you continue to choose us?
What else I can do for you?
And what could we do for you that would make you choose us forever?
Or more happy, yeah.
Forever. Meaning you'd never go anywhere else for this type of service. What could we offer that would make you choose us forever?
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite questions in business.
You are very active online, like Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and YouTube. So I noticed that people want to create video for the mass audience, but they not doing it because they have zero listeners and zero views. So what kind of advice would you give them to encourage them to actually doing this thing? They they're impatient. They don't want to wait.
So when I started, my goal was to reach millions of people. That was the goal. Like millions of people.
In one day.
If I could reach millions of people, that would be it. If I could just get the right person to tweet me, if I could just get the right person to repost me, if I can get the media to talk about me, then oh man, that would do everything. And over time, I reached lots of people. Eventually I remember we used to hit 1 million people a week reviewing our stuff. We were like, wow, that's amazing, but nothing changed. And I sat down and I said, what's actually most important to us? And I said, you know what? Finding and reaching the one person that needs it most right now in their life, like they're going through something and they need to read this, they need to watch this, they need to hear this. And if I can reach the one person at the moment they need it, with the message they need at just the right time, that's what I'm really trying to do.
One by one.
So here's what happened though. We send out messages and every day we get little notes that say, thanks, I needed that. Okay, great. Happy you got it. That's it. And then we get messages like handwritten letters that say,
you changed my life.
More than that. I'm a soldier. I was sent to war. I came home with horrible PTSD. For the last 2 weeks, I've had my gun in my mouth wanting to pull the trigger. Someone gave me a copy of your book and I read it, and I just wanted to say thank you because it reminded me of my reason why I want to keep living.
I have a goosebump on my. That's deep. That's deep.
And I was like, that was success. If that's all we did was get to that one person on that day, and that's all the book ever did, if that's all it did, it's exactly what it needed to do.
It's about caring,
Reaching
patient.
the people who need it. And so when people oftentimes are looking for, how do I get to millions of people? More likely what's happening is if you think of these three questions or thoughts, I am enough, I have enough, and I'm loved enough. Most people, when they need more, it's because they feel like
Not loved enough, or
they don't have
not
enough.
good enough with the
And what really
themselves.
means is they don't feel like they are enough because they think if they can get more, then they'll finally be enough.
So they think they are not good enough for like others or for themselves.
Themselves. They don't feel like they are enough as a human, therefore they're always trying to go get more so that they can finally feel enough. But however much more they get, they never feel enough.
And we humans are so strange
It's weird.
creatures. Like we knew what's good for us, but we avoid such things. You know, bad food, bad kind of lifestyle.
The good news is science confirms stuff now that goes, people have always taught this stuff, but then you have Harvard do research and show, you know, how long you live, how much money you make, and how happy you are is determined by the people you choose to spend time with. I was like, oh, well, that's important.
Yeah.
We got to pick the right people to spend time with. Most entrepreneurs are so busy working, they don't spend time with anybody. And they go home and feel lonely in a city that has 10 million people.
They are looking for a bottle or whatever and changing, you know, destroying what they've built in a business, right?
Yeah. And so that crazy part of helping people step back and go, well, wait a minute. What's the minimum investment needed to spend time with quality people to build a relationship that helps you live a long time, make tons of money, and be super happy? And then you look at that and go, wow, what else is scientifically proven to make you more mentally, emotionally resilient and strong? It's like, wow, well, meditation, 10 minutes a day, that makes a big difference as science. If we look at sleep, 7.5 to 8 hours of high quality sleep, 20% REM, 20% deep, that makes a big difference in satisfaction, happiness, and resilience.
Proper food.
Proper food and nutrition. So this is an interesting one. If you read 10 different books, you'll get 10 different diets. And they all say the other one's wrong. Now it's interesting, nowadays in the US, and they probably have it here now, you can do a blood test that tells you what foods are good for your body and what foods are bad for your body. You can do a gut bacteria test that does poop, and it tells you what food is good for your body, not good for your body. You can do a saliva test that does your DNA and tells you what food is good for your body and bad for your body. And I always use an example. If we went out and bought a Bugatti, 2.5 million euro car, super expensive, would we put jet fuel in it because jets go fast and the Bugatti might go faster?
Explode.
No, you'd blow up a 2.5 million euro car, be on fire. That's stupid. Or would we put, you know, diesel in an unleaded gasoline car? No, it kills the engine. So why would you put the wrong fuel in your body? Doesn't make any sense. But you got to ask the question then, what's the right food? Well, each engine is built differently and it requires a different fuel to maintain high performance. So to maintain high performance, you got to go have your blood checked, you got to have your saliva checked, your poop checked, look at all of it and go, what's the consistent pattern of what my machine needs to stay at its best? And all of a sudden you do that, you feel so much better. It's amazing. And it makes sense. And this stuff only existed probably 30 years ago for professional athletes. They would do it.
Like NASA. And so
NASA,
on.
astronauts, billionaires, really rich people do this. One of my friends was hired, he was hired privately by the royal family in Saudi Arabia to come and do all this for them all the time. And now a big billionaire in Silicon Valley has hired him to do this for him.
For like a couple hundreds of euros or whatever.
Well, he pays them $1 million
but
a year
end
to
customer
do it.
can buy
But
for a...
nowadays, we can have access to something that used to cost millions of dollars. We can have access for $150. Like, it's not that expensive at all. It just takes time and to go do it.
Yeah. We publish books in Poland, and many people are, you know, coming to us saying, hey, I want to publish a book.
Sure.
And they're asking me, am I right person to, you know, actually think about the book and publishing the book? You wrote a book.
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet. I will do it, I promise. So what kind of advice would you give to people who actually want to write a book?
Sure. So it's the same advice I give to people who reach out to me and say, I want to be a speaker, how do I do it? I want to write a book, how do I do it? I want to become a coach, how do I do it? Those are all vehicles to transport a message from you to someone who needs it. And so if you sit down and think, what's the message I have brewing inside of me? Who needs to hear this? And is a book the vehicle that's going to get it to them? My choice is all vehicles.
Yeah,
we make
too.
videos, we write a book, we make online programs,
Podcast,
we do live
Instagram,
talk,
whatever,
podcast,
yeah.
Instagram, because I don't know which medium is going to get to the person when they need it.
So you don't want to
Sometimes
take the
it's a
risk that you will skip the chance, right?
Yeah, I don't want that person who's considering killing themselves to be like, well, no one gave me the book, so
Because
well.
the algorithm of Facebook, skip the message.
Exactly. So I'm going to push it out every way I can to figure out how to get it in front of them when they need it.
So your advice is like, think about the book as a
vehicle.
transporter vehicle
It's
for
a
your message.
transportation
So
to
first
move the message to someone or something that needs it.
So first focus on the real message that you want to put to the world, and then use it only as a tool. Okay, this is only tool that transports my message.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and if you had to learn how to sing to get the message across, by all means, sing. If you have to learn how to juggle fire sticks and ride a tricycle, do it. It's getting the message across that makes the most important part of that come to life.
And do you agree with me that now it's super easy to do it? Like take your phone and bam, you can do YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever.
Yeah, everyone can.
But not everyone are doing it.
Yeah.
Only high performance people.
Yep.
And I think your job and what you do online and offline is helping them to actually do the thing.
Yeah.
That's the point?
Well, I'll give them a philosophy, and this is interesting. A lot of people that I've seen go to an event like we're at, they learn something, and then they jump online and start teaching it to other people. And they miss a really important part.
Experience.
Experience.
We're ending each other's sentences, right?
I wrote a book called Live It. There's 3 parts.
Not like read it, right?
First you learn it, then you live it, then you give it, then you share it with other people. And so there's a part there, if they're thinking of writing a book, look at what they've lived and gone, what were the lessons I learned while living this that are really important that other people can have, that would be very useful? And how can I transport that to them?
Without comparing to other people, because sometimes I can hear that I cannot write the book because this book was already written, but other people. I'm saying, no, it's not true, because it's not your book, not your message, not your way of thinking, right?
Yeah. Well, the part that happens in comparison is they go, well, that person wrote the book, and they sold 20 million copies of their book, so who needs to hear it from me?
200 copies, not 2,000
But
copies.
here's the difference. What if there's one person that would read it and it would save their life?
Correct.
And if that's all your book ever did, would that be worth writing a book for? And a book is a long process. But if they did it, my thought is, if you're focused on the right thing, if I can get this to the one person who needs to read it, that's all that needs to happen. And if you focus on that, of course it's worth writing a book. But if you focus on, is it going to become a Washington Journal bestseller? Is it a New York Times bestseller? Am I going to do all this stuff? Because people use titles to boost their ego, to make them feel like a big deal. But nowadays it's sad. There's tricks and ways to game all of that stuff. And so it loses its magic.
So you can buy, be on the list, like best-selling is whatever. You can buy the prize that someone is giving to you, and you can buy a shelf space to put your book on the front of the whatever.
But there's things when you understand how media works. It was interesting. I used to watch a TV show, Jon Stewart, The Daily Show. And I was like, wow, how cool would it be to be on Jon Stewart, The Daily Show on television and talk about my book? That'd be so cool. And then I watched each author on the show, and I Googled their book, and I Googled the publisher, and I noticed it was one of the same 2 publishers every time. And then I Googled who owned the publishing company, and it was the same company that owned the TV network. I went, oh.
Coincidence? I don't think so.
They didn't pick them because they were a great book or author. They picked them because they make money when they sell the book.
Bestseller, not like a best book, right?
And they own the TV show that they can sell the book on. I was like, that's okay. Tupac said, once you know the game, play the game if you want to. But realize people compare themselves to that person who just sold 50,000 books in a week. And they go, oh, I could never do that. And it's like, well, there's a game. There's a strategic game you have to play where you got to go and get to know the right person and make the right contract and have the right deal and do it with the right company, so they put you on that channel. But the interesting part, when you do it that way, it works. Lots of people do it. It's just a very old school way of doing it. And it takes a lot of networking, a lot of time, and a lot of meeting the right people in the right place.
Not working, right?
It'll work when it does it that way. The only reason it'll work, those companies are built to do that.
Right.
They reverse engineer them. that you think you're watching a TV show and you're watching a marketing show. And they've done it very well. And they've done it for years and years and years and years and years. And so what's interesting to think about it is, that's why I said that the reason you're doing it matters. Because there's CEOs of billion-dollar companies that write a book, pay a bunch of money, and it's a #1 bestseller.
On each bookstore, in airports, everywhere.
Yeah, and it's because they want the world to know their stuff. Then there's someone else like Paulo Coelho. He wrote a book.
Scribing.
He wrote a lot of books. He wrote dozens of books, but only one of them really went.
Alchemist.
Alchemist. Every bookstore around the world, you can find it. And he sold over 150 million copies. That's a lot. For any book, that's a lot. But you look at it, he loves to write. Like, he loves the process of writing great stories to share with the world. He's not writing to try to become a bestseller. He's not writing to try to sell a bunch of books. He's writing something that's really beautiful that he believes will impact someone's life in some special way. Now, out of all the books he wrote, only a couple have gone out to the world again and again and again. But many of them have gotten to that one person who needed to read it. And to him, I can't speak for him, but for me, that would be worth writing that one book. As long as it got to that one person, it was worth it.
Do you know Steven Pressfield, the author?
I don't.
Do the Work or Turning Pro? I met him last time, 2 months ago in US, and he's saying, "I'm a writer. My mission is to write.
Yeah.
Everything except writing, it's not my thing. I need to focus on it."
I'll tell you a story. I have a friend of mine. He lives in New York City. He's in the tech, hedge fund, business type of stuff, but he's a writer. He will do something called deep work. Where there's a book written.
I heard about this book. Yeah.
So he'll do this process where he says, "I need a place to go write. No people, no internet, no life, just me and writing."
It sounds like library, right?
No, like a cabin in the middle of the woods with nobody around. And he'll just go there, and he'll spend 24 hours a day thinking deeply about his characters, thinking of how they feel, thinking of where they go, thinking of what they do, thinking of what they love, thinking of what they're afraid of. None of that stuff's being written about. He's just feeling what it feels like to be them, to be lost in the woods and wonder where he's going. And he'll get into a frenzy of feeling it, and then start writing what they would say and how they would say it, and how they'd feel when someone disagrees with them, and then what would happen next. And he just writes and writes and writes and writes and writes. And then he sits down for the next 3 weeks and just cuts it away. They don't need to say that. They don't need to say it. They don't need to feel it. They don't need to say that. And he goes down and down and down. And he finally gets the last little thing. He goes, "Okay, I guess I'll leave that for like a month, and then I'll come back to it and see if I can make it better." And he keeps doing it. He wrote a book called "Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It."
It's true.
Yeah. He said, "Love yourself like your life depends on it." And it was just this little book he wrote, and it was everything he needed to hear at the time.
From himself, actually, right?
Everything
like from the inside.
And he wrote it. And he self-published it. He put it online. Really simple, short book. And I recommend go read it. It's worth reading. And people just started buying it and reading it little by little. And then he started getting emails from very famous musicians, authors, very famous politicians, all kinds of people just reaching out saying, "I read your book. It literally saved my life. I just wanted to say thank you. I read your book. It changed my whole experience of how I feel about myself. I read your book. It changed everything." And he's like, "Thanks." And he just likes getting his little notes. And then a major publisher reached out to him. They're like, "We read your book and we loved it. Can we publish it for you or with you?"
It's like organic way of growing, right?
Yeah, because he wrote a book that he needed to hear, and he wrote a book that others needed to hear. And as it naturally just went out into the world, it was what people really needed to hear. A lot of times when people write books, they write books that they want to say, not what people need to hear.
Or books they want to show them as a fake person, like as a mask or as a persona, a marketing persona, instead of finding the deep meaning, real work, and showing real experience.
Exactly.
Great. Thank you so much for the amazing talk and very full of tips, strategy, and inspiration.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.